Use a T20 bit to loosen the 4 screws to remove the PCBA box cover. Use a T20 bit to loosen and remove the 5 screws on the top of the battery box to remove the support assembly. Remove the battery box cover by loosening the screws on both sides. Remove the 6 screws inside the battery box and then use a 5mm hex bit to remove the 4 bolts from the battery box on the outside. The battery box is held down by the PCBA box. Use a 5mm hex bit to loosen and remove the 4 bolts inside the PCBA box. The battery box can now be removed. Disconnect all the connectors. Use a 5mm hex bit to remove the 2 bolts at the front of the wire cover, then remove the PCBA assembly. Loosen and remove the other 2 bolts. Tip the snow blower over to expose the auger. Use a 5mm hex bit or a 10mm socket wrench to loosen and remove the 3 flange bolts on each side. Remove the auger assembly from the deck. Use retaining ring pliers to remove the retaining ring from the motor shaft. Use a needle nose pliers to pull the split pin from the motor shaft. Remove the impeller. Use a 5mm hex bit to remove the 9 screws on the deck to separate the deck from the motor and gear case assembly. Tip the snow blower over so that the deck is facing the floor as shown. Remove the pin from the shaft, then remove the washer and wheel. Use a 5mm hex bit to loosen and remove the wheel cap. Repeat the same steps on the other side to remove the other wheel and cap. Loosen and remove the 2 screws at the rear base. Return the snow blower to its normal position. Use a 5mm hex bit to loosen and remove the 8 screws to detach the self-propelled unit together with the handle assembly. Before removing the last screw, grip the top of the handle to support and facilitate the removal of the assembly. Remove the cable tensioners from the cable holders. Place the snow blower on the side. Use a T20 bit to remove the 3 screws on the back and 4 screws on each side to separate the cover from the motor and gear case assembly. Remove the motor and gear case assembly. Use a 4mm hex bit to remove the 5 bolts to open the gear case. Remove the shaft, the gear, the bushing, and the gear assembly. Use a 4mm hex bit to remove the 5 bolts to separate the motor from the gear case. Remove the retaining ring, then the pinion gear. If this small pinion is worn and cannot be removed, replace the whole motor and gear case assembly. Here are the parts of the gear case assembly. And the following 4 parts are offered together as the gear assembly. Since broken gear teeth fragments may be present in the grease, all the grease must be completely cleaned out. Assemble the small pinion onto the motor shaft and secure it with the spiral ring. Use a 4mm hex bit to mount the gear case onto the motor and secure it with 5 bolts. Add new grease into the gear case. Place the gear assembly into the bearing. Place the bushing into the gear case. Place the shaft with the gear into the gear case. The shaft should be aligned with the bushing. Check the other half of the gear case and make sure that the seal is in place as shown in the video. Add new grease into the gear case. Use a 4mm hex bit to close the gear case and secure them with 5 bolts. Before putting the motor and gear case back onto the snow blower, rotate the motor fan to verify the gears can rotate without binding. Mount the motor and gear case back onto the snow blower. Reassemble the cover. Use a T20 bit to secure the cover with 3 screws on the back and 4 screws on each side. Return the deck assembly to its normal position. Pass the wire from the self-propel unit through the motor and gear case assembly housing, then use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 8 screws. Place the wires into the trap. Tip the unit so that the deck is facing the floor as shown. Use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 2 screws. Use a 5mm hex bit to assemble the wheel caps on both sides. Mount the wheels onto the shaft with the wheel tire pattern direction pointing forward as shown in the video. Insert the bearing washer, then mount the pin into the shaft to lock the wheel securely. Return the snow blower to its normal position. Use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 9 screws on the deck. Assemble the impeller into the snow blower. Insert the split pin into the motor shaft and bend the ends to secure it. Use a retaining ring plier to fit the retaining ring onto the motor shaft. Assemble the front auger gear case assembly back into the snow blower. Use a 5mm hex bit or a 10mm socket wrench to securely tighten the 3 flange bolts on each side. Carefully rotate the auger by hand to see whether the auger gear case assembly can rotate without binding or hearing unusual noises. Return the snow blower to its normal position. Use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 2 bolts. Install the PCBA assembly. Connect and secure all wires. Pass the 2 electric contacts through the battery box and then assemble the battery box onto the deck. Use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 4 bolts inside the PCBA box and the 2 bolts at the front of the wire cover. Use a 5mm hex bit to tighten the 4 bolts from the battery box outside and then use a T20 bit to tighten the 6 screws inside. Secure the PCBA box cover with 4 screws by using a T20 bit. Position the 2 electric contacts into their position and then use a T20 bit to assemble the support assembly with 5 screws. Finally, secure the battery box cover by tightening the screws on both sides.